Hi guys. So today's little training is to go over Yeoman and the Yeoman generator that we created for the group. What this tool does is it allows us to create Angular objects a lot quicker and a lot safer with templates that we already created. So the first thing you need to do is, I would assume everyone should have Node.js already downloaded, because most of the tools that we are using now require Node. So just make sure you have Node downloaded. And then if you look at the documentation, it also asks you to download Yeoman. And Yeoman install is pretty easy. It's just a npm install-g Yeoman, or Yo, and that will install Yeoman into your default directory. The next thing you would do is, if we go into the source control, let's see here, I've created a new directory under the shared tools. There's a directory called Yeoman. Let me open this up a little bit. And there's a folder called generator. And you need to check out the generator-tr-app. Now this can be checked out pretty much anywhere you want. It doesn't really matter, just so long as you have it checked out and this folder is named this specific way. It has to be generator-tr-app. Once you do that, the next thing you do is, inside of that directory, you would do a npm link, and that will allow the system to know that this is an npm generator, and it will put this into your path automatically. Most all this is in the documentation, so it should be fairly simple. If you have any problems, just email me, and we'll walk through any issues you may have with it. Okay, so let's talk about Yeoman and some of the commands and what it will actually do for us. The reason why you have to download that TR app generator is I've created a custom generator for this group. And so the templates and the structure of the applications will be the same for all the different apps. There is an Angular generator out there that uses a slightly different scaffolding structure. And so if you want to just play around with Angular on your own, that is also a good tool to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a directory called test, and I'm going to cd into test. And you can see here the directory that I'm in. This is also in WIP. So as a side note, whenever you're doing any work within the WIP directory, with the two new apps, we have a OIT batch and OIT GLM. Use the Yeoman tool to create any new objects that you need inside of it. So we're going to create a brand new app, and so what the command is yo tr-app, and that will create a brand new app for you. If you want it to, if it's the name of the app is the same as the directory, you can just leave it alone, or you can name it something different. But we're going to leave it as directory name. So we hit continue and give it a second here while it's downloading some resources for us. And the first thing is, it will ask you a question, is this your app name? And we'll say yes. And then what we'll do is ask you what default modules you want to include. So right now I have it listed as you want Angular resources, the Wismo, framework, I don't want that, promise tracker, and OIT. So I want these guys. And so you can use the up and down arrow button to highlight which one you want to use, and the space button to toggle the selection on and off. Once you're happy with your selections, you hit enter, and it will start creating the scaffolding for you. It will come to the comma, and it will ask if you want to overwrite the comma.js. One of the cool things about Yeoman is that on anything that it creates or copies, if there is already a file there, you can do a overwrite, you can do yes or no, or you can actually do a D, and you can see the diffs between the two files. And so you can actually hit D, look at the diffs between the two files, and decide which one you want to do. For us, I do not want to overwrite the comma file. The reason being is that since our directory structure is so different than the standard comma config, I created one and we actually copied that one over. Hit return, and it will now download all of our dependencies that we have. We'll give this just a second while it runs.
Jason?
Yes.
When should we use Yeoman? Because all these days we were working on this Jasmine.
Every time you create a directive, a route, a config, a value, a service, a controller, a template HTML, you should be using it. Okay, so it's got finished, so let's look at the, oops, I don't want to do that, I want to do this. So we come into here, link, here it is. And now we come into this test, you can see it's created everything that we needed to run this app. It's created the JS, it's created our app JS, created the folders for us, even though there's nothing in there right now. It has our index HTML here. So let's look at the actual files themselves. Trunk. With prototypes, generator, whip build. So if I close this down, let's close all these to the right. If I come in here to test, and we look at the index.html here, you can see it has all of the files that we needed, including a default main and controller. Okay? So now say on this app I wanted to create a new route, and what a route is just like it sounds, it's a URL that I'm creating and a controller to go with it in a template. So what I would do is go yo tr-app, tr-app, semicolon, and then the name of the route, and then the name of the route I want to do. So I want to say page 1. Hit enter. And you see here it says it's created a JS controller page1.js. It's created a test case for it. And it's also created the HTML, and it has updated all files that we needed. So if we go into the files now, you can see here at the bottom, inside of our script tags, it's created a controller /JS script, so that gets imported. If we go into our app.js, you can see here, it created the route for us. So it gives us the name of the URL, it gives us what the template is and what the controller is. And if we come up into the controller, we get a stubbed out controller for us that basically has one item in scope with an array. If we come down into the test, you can see it created a simple test to make sure that the tax items are 3 and that we create the controller and does all the before each for us. So as you can see, as you create all your routes, you can do it very quickly and simply by just using Yeoman and then going back and editing the files that it creates for you. You don't have to do all the boilerplate pieces for it, and you don't have to remember to add that into the index.html. So let's look at the next piece. So basically all the Angular objects that you want to create, there's a command to create that for you. So we do Yeoman tr-app directive, and we'll call this input OIT. And now we go into the app. If we come into the directives directory, you can see it's created a directive for us with the template. It has a template. You can change this to do template URL. It's a element. It replaces, and here's our linking function to do anything that we need to do within the linking function. And once again, it also creates a default test for us on this. If we want to do just a HTML template view, we can do view. And that will create just the HTML for us. We can do the same thing with controller. You can see here it created the controller and the new one. We also have in it a factory. Here you can see it created the factory, so let's look at that real quick. So it creates just a default factory, and it returns some method. It gives the meaning of life and returns that. We can also do a service. And to be honest with you, this should look almost exactly the same as the other one. So there's service. Okay. We can also do a value. And then it creates a brand new value for you. Okay, so basically all of these little Angular apps, we can also do filters. Let me do that one real quick. Show you that one. So, and there's the filter. Okay, and what it has done also is created all the tests at the same time. There we go. So we look at the test here. Here's a real quick test of add me. Okay. And so all Yeoman basically does is for creating controllers, directives, filters, services, all that stuff, it will create a boilerplate for you and create the test for you and add into your index.html the files for you automatically. It also will add anything in the app.js that needs to be added. The one thing it does not add is it will not add any dependencies that you may need for that app. So say you create a controller or a service that requires ng resources, you have to make sure you add it here first, the ng resources, and then add any dependencies that you may need inside of your app. But what it does do is give you a very quick and easy way to create the different components that you may need in Angular or in your app. And like I said, one of the things is OIT-GLM and OIT-Batch have both been created using Yeoman. And so we need to make sure that when we start porting stuff over and refactoring stuff that we use Yeoman inside of this these directories. The other key point here that I want to get with you guys is this node module will not be checked in, and please don't check it in. The reason being is because right now TFS only allows a certain length of a URL path, and we go over that with these node modules. And so what you have to do is, once you get the code, do an npm install, and that will go get all the latest packages that you need in your node modules. Okay, so that's it as far as Yeoman goes. Everything's out there ready for you guys to use. Please download it and play with it a little bit in the whip directory. Create a new app, add some elements to it, and then run tests against it, all that kind of stuff. Because, like I said, within whip, as we refactor everything, I want you guys to use Yeoman. That'd be a lot quicker, and we make sure everything's where it needs to be, with tests already created for each one of the components. Any questions?
One thing to remember, guys, is all this does is create the files. It doesn't actually add them to the project or check them into TFS or add them to TFS.
Yes. Now, this is basically just a boilerplate application to help speed up development as far as creating things and putting things in the right spot.
So if you were to open up your Visual Studio in non-admin mode and open up the OneSource income tax project, then you could just drop that new folder you just created or whatever it was onto the solution and it will add it. It has to be non-admin. If you do it in admin, it won't work.
So like I said, one thing I hope with this is that since it creates the tests for everything that you create, one of the things is we'll be able to see immediately when you create a new controller or create a new service, whether or not you created a test already. And as soon as you start changing your service, if you don't go and update your test, then your test will immediately start failing on you. And that will alert you, hey, I need to go in and edit my test also and create good test cases so all this can pass. So sometime over the next couple of days, please try to get Yeoman installed on your machine and get the generator, do the linking with it, and play with it. If you need any help, I can get on the WebEx with you, and we can get any problems that we may have solved and get done, so you guys can start porting and refactoring some of this code a lot quicker using this tool. Since I got everyone on the phone and we still have a little bit of time, do anyone have any question on unit testing? Okay, deathly silence. So what I'll do is I may set up a meeting next Monday and just for a Q&A on unit testing and any Angular questions you may have. And I will hope to be expecting to see some tests at least checked in so we can kind of look at it and make sure everyone's feeling comfortable in writing tests and that the tests are working.
I was going to also say, this is Kevin, in the morning, the guys in India, if in the morning in our time, if you need help with any unit test, get a hold of me and we'll do a WebEx together. I've been helping Jason and various people here in Carrollton, like during the afternoons or just when I'm not busy. So reach out to me if you need help, want to work through an issue. I've been actually working with the Component 1 guys on the directive for the Widgema grid to help us be able to add some features to the directive to make it easier to test our code. So hopefully we'll get that from them today. anyway, I'll fill you all in when I get more details.
Okay, great, guys. I'll take this recording, put it back up on the wiki, send out a link to it in case you want to go back and look at it. The document is also on the wiki, so it has all the different commands on there. If you have any questions, just email me. Thanks, guys.